Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Cafe Rewatch podcast. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Tracy. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How's your day
Good, good.
been?
Been a little busy today, but we're gonna just keep moving forward.
It's been a long week, so I'm glad we're on the cusp of the weekend. Finally, maybe
Yes,
a little downtime would be nice.
would be very good. Yes, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So what are we drinking today?
Well, I think I'm coming down with a little bit of a flu. I'm not sure if a
I
cold or
hope
whatever.
not. Oh my.
I hope not. I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
I went with a homemade brew of ginger tea.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I'm a big lover of ginger, so I make my own ginger tea, and so it makes me feel good. It clears up my whole system, and I feel sort of, oh, okay, I can keep moving forward. So
Oh, that's
that's what I've
good.
had. That's what
Yeah.
I'm having.
Well, that'll work. I'm not a fan of
Mm,
ginger. I don't like ginger
I know
ale. I
you're
like
not.
ginger maybe in my food cooking a little bit, but
Hmm.
not. I don't think I could do a ginger
No
tea.
problem.
It does help
That's
though.
all
It
right.
does help. Sometimes you have to drink it just because it works. So once in a
Yeah,
while.
I can drink it anytime. So
Mm.
for me, it's not, yeah, it's not everybody's thing. It's
Yeah,
not
that's all
everybody's
right.
cup of tea. Yeah.
That's cool.
So what do you have?
Today I just went with a basic caramel iced coffee. I just went old school.
You and your caramel.
Yeah, I love caramel. It's
So that's
cinnamon
good.
or caramel, either one. I'm pretty brown sugar. All those are just any one of those is good. But today I hadn't had caramel iced coffee in a while, so I thought I'd do that. Walking on the
Okay.
wild side.
All
So,
righty.
all right. Well, here we are, back at it with our friends from Virgin River. Let's get started.
Yes, indeed. Okay. So we're on season 4, episode 9, Bombshells.
Oh, this
Ooh.
episode.
Anything called that doesn't sound good, people.
We're in. I'm glad you have ginger tea because in case there's any nauseousness from the roller coaster ride we're gonna be on, I think you're gonna need it. Okay, so this one says Mel deals with the aftermath of Jack's disappearance while also getting troubling news from Stacie. Yeah, that's Stacie. She's back to cause some more trouble.
Oh,
Mike and Brie continue
yeah.
their search for Calvin. So, here we go. Oh my. So, when we left our friends in Virgin River, the wedding was a beautiful wedding for Joey and Nate. And now it's the end of the evening. Jack never showed up. He was going to be late, but he never showed up. And now Preacher's out looking for him. I guess I'm sure Mel's called in the cavalry to look for them. She's back at the cabin in case he shows up there. And she is on the phone with someone. And she's like, the sheriff and highway patrol are aware. So she's got everybody. I mean, Jack is like a beloved member of the community. So everyone
Well,
is going to drop everything.
The Virgin River tree
Oh, yes. The phone
is
tree will be activated and everyone will be on,
is
on the lookout.
exactly.
So Mel, she's on the phone with Bert and she's like, okay, thank you, Bert. Keep me posted because everyone's probably calling to check in as well as out. If you're not checking in, then you're probably searching for him. And she is just looking quite distraught at this point because it's one thing if he was like an hour or two late, but no, he's several hours late. Now she hears somebody at the door. She rushes to the door and look who it is. Oh, Cameron. What a nice guy to show up and be there and be supportive. Now, he doesn't know she's pregnant yet. So this is like a whole separate thing. Right now it's just they're together. They're not even engaged and they're living together because of the fire. But, Cameron I feel like he just isn't accepting that she could do better. Like I think that's his whole thing and he's looking
Belongs
for
to some.
every opportunity to find something not great about Jack so that he can slide right in and swoop in
Yeah.
and be the hero, be the
And two
be the
people
man.
And two people have already warned him that that's not a good idea.
I think even more than two
You
people. I
remember?
mean, yeah.
Doc, well, Libby and Doc
Yep.
already told him.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
barking up the wrong tree here, buddy.
He's been warned, but he's not
So
listening. He's not paying attention to that. So she hears a knock at the door, and it's Cameron. She opens the door, and she's like, "Any word yet?" And he's like, "No." And he's just going to be there. He's like, so what are you doing? There's preachers driving through town looking, and, Brie and Brady are walking the riverbank, and Mike's trying to track Jack's cell phone, and he's like, well, when I left the B&B, people were looking. He said Bert and his mechanic are out looking. Like, everybody's looking, and she just looks like she is ready to cry. And he's like, okay, good. What can I do? And she's like, oh, are you sure you want to stay? And he goes, the good guy that he is, I won't let you handle this by yourself. And because she's so oblivious to the fact that he has any feelings for her, like, she's not even thinking, all she's thinking about is Jack. Like, 100% focus is on Jack. She could care less if he's even there. Like, that's why when Jack said, well, he kind of likes you, and people say that, she's like, I don't even care. Like, it doesn't enter her mind. So right now, she's like, the hospital had told her that she could call back because, of course, when someone's missing, what do? You call the police, you call the hospitals. And Cameron, what a good guy he is. She's like, if you could call them, he goes, I'll take care of it. So he steps outside, and he's gonna call the hospitals. Mel gets a phone call. Of course, she thinks it's Jack. She gets a phone call, and guess who? Like, worst timing ever. It's her ex-sister-in-law.
And the last encounter did not go so well.
No, she left in a tizzy. And that was the end of that. And she's like, Mel, did you get my message?
And she like to say her nippers were...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Mel is just like, I am not in the mood to talk to you. And she's like, didn't you get my messages? And she goes, well, I'm in Clear River, and I was hoping we could have dinner. And she's like, I'm dealing with an emergency, and I really can't talk. And she goes, well, I need to see you. And she's like, I got to go. I'm getting another call. Just call me tomorrow. So, of course, she gets rid of Stacie. In the meantime, Cameron is on the phone trying to check all the hospitals, and he's going to be the thorough person that he is. And he's like also checking the morgues, which is a logical thing to do in this situation. He just didn't want Mel to hear that he's doing that because that just might freak her out.
Oh, hell yes.
That would be... You got to check. So...
Yeah. You got to be thorough.
It's late at night. Everyone is still checking. No one can find him. Now we're back at Hope and Doc's. And it looks like Mel and Doc are talking. And Doc's trying to be supportive, thinking positive. He's like, we'll find him. Don't worry. We'll find him. It'll be okay. But Hope's like, what did Mel say? And she's like, no sign of him yet. And he goes, and Doc is like, I can't just sit around. I mean, I got to go drive. I got to go look for him. And Hope is trying to remind Doc that he has an eye problem. He probably should not be driving late at night. And Doc is like, neither one of them should be driving. And Doc's like, fine, okay. So then he's like, well, I'll call Denny. And he's like, you can't call Denny. Denny's at the movies. His phone is off. She's not cleared to drive, and she could have a headache or fall or crash or whatever. And so the two of them, it's like they want to go do something, but they can't find a way to do it. And she's like, at our age, when something breaks, there's no replacement parts. And he's like, yeah, it's called aging. And I mean, at this point, they're just frustrated. So Doc comes up with an idea. And this is when Hope is like, I wish Lily was here. Because, if Lily was here, she'd be here immediately. And she would be here to help us. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So Doc comes up with a wonderful idea. He's like, Muriel. I'm sure Hope's not going to like this. He goes, sorry to call so late, but do you think that you could drive? And, I mean, Muriel, of course, is going to jump right in. So she's on her way over, and the two of them, they're going to get an old country map, and they're going to take section by section, and they're going to drive around, and they're going to help everybody look. So, I mean, they even have...
good old-fashioned church.
Yep. It's like, yeah, the whole town is involved. And he's like, get a picture of Jack. You know, we want a good current picture of him in case we have to show it to people. Not like every single person doesn't know who Jack is. And Preacher, he's kind of doing a grid search in a way, driving up and down the streets, just looking. And his phone rings, and he picks it up, and he's like, hey. And Mel's crying, and she's like, hey, Preach, you know, have you found anything? And he's like, no, I'm sorry. Now she's like a mess. She's like, what if he had an accident? What if he's trapped? And Preacher's like, look, we've got all hands on deck. Don't worry, we will find him. And she's like, it's been 6 hours since anybody has heard from him. And he's like, look, you got to stay positive. And she's trying. I mean, she's like, I know, but he's like, then Preacher's like, wait a minute, I think I see something. And she's like waiting on bated breath, waiting. And he pulls up next to Jack's truck, which is parked behind McGill's Tap House. He gets out of his truck and he walks around to the front of Jack's truck, and Mel's waiting on the phone. He knocks on the window, and Jack is sound asleep in the driver's seat. And he rolls down the window, and he's like, what the hell, Jack? And he goes, what are you doing? He goes, looking for you. He goes, what? And then he gets back to Mel. He goes, I got him, Mel. She's like, my God, thank you. And he finally looks at his phone, and he's probably got missed call, message. And he's like, oh, shit, we got to get to the wedding. And Preacher's looking at him. He's like, it's over, man. And he's like, oh, no. And you could tell the look on his face is like, oh, I screwed up big time. Mm-hmm. Big time. So
his ass is grass.
Oh, he's so in trouble. So Preacher's going to bring him home, and I guess they'll get his car later. But as they're pulling up, they see Cameron leaving the house. Leaving Mel. And Cameron gives a little quick wave, and Jack is looking at him like, where the hell is he coming from?
Yeah, you don't get
to say anything.
You don't get to say dip squat, buddy boy, because you are just.
So Preacher stays in the car. Jack gets out and he starts walking up to the house. And she comes out. She stands on the porch and she's like, you're spending the night at Preacher's house. And he's like, I had to see you. And she's looking sad and pissed. She's like, Mel, I'm so sorry I missed the wedding. I know how important that was to you. And she's like, oh, okay, right. So that's what you're sorry about? And she's like, I thought something happened to you. He goes, no, I'm fine. But he's looking, she goes, oh, yeah, well, clearly that is not the case. And he's like, something came up and I didn't handle it well. And she's like, great, so you decided to drink. And he's like, I thought I could sleep it off. And she goes, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, it through her tears. She's like, you know, I had the entire town looking for you. He goes, I'll apologize to everyone, but right now I want to make things right with you. And through her tears, she's like, no. And he's like, Mel, I'm so sorry. And she just shakes her head and she goes, just go. And she just goes back inside and shuts the door.
See, this is why it's good for a woman to have her own place. Because
right?
When you're with his ass,
because when you need a minute, you need to send him away.
Exactly. You need to send him
packing.
That's right.
And Preacher's looking at him like, you're a dumbass, and you know it. That's okay, because Preacher is the exact perfect person to deal with him right now.
Exactly.
He gets in the car, and Preacher backs out. He's like, yep, got to get out of here. Taking him back to his place. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jack. In the meantime, clearly Brie and Brady had other things to worry about because they're all wrapped up together between the sheets, waking up in the nice sunny Sunday morning.
Yes.
Oh, my. Once Jack was okay, they just went about the business. Mm-hmm. And she's like, do you want me to make some coffee? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, no, not yet.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing Brie can make is coffee.
I don't. She cooks much.
No, I don't think Brie cooks. Period.
No, I don't think so.
It reminds me of my sister.
And she's like, oh, is there? You're something else. You know that? And he's like, oh, the feeling's mutual. The two of them. Mm-hmm. Well, he basically can't believe that she's even with him. I mean, exactly. Like he said before, she is so far out of his league.
Oh, hell yes.
So, and she's like, thanks again for last night. I know, going to a wedding and then helping look for Jack was not fun. And he's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. he goes, at least he's okay. And she's like, I just don't understand. He's always been so responsible. And Brady's like, that's the problem. He acts like he's untouchable. And the stuff he's seen, and ooh, it's dark. And it doesn't magically disappear. And just because you pretend you got everything under control. He goes, well, and she asked him, how do you handle it, when you got back? And he's like, oh, not well. He got in fights. He went to jail. He didn't do anything the right way by any means, but he let go of a lot of stuff, and he still screw up, but he's working on it. And she's like, Jack is hurting, and I don't know how to help him. And he's like, look, you just got to be there. And he's like, when I got back, I didn't have anyone I could talk to. He goes, my uncle, he had his own problems. And he goes, I think if I would have had someone, that I felt close to, that would have really helped. I mean, fortunately, Jack has Mel, but.
Yeah. But he's not willing to confide in her. That's
not yet.
Problem.
Not yet. He's not at the point that he's ready to take that step. Like, he does a lot of other, he's come a long way, but he's still working on it. And so Brie asks him how he's feeling, how Brady's feeling now. And he's like, I'm feeling real good. I mean, obviously he's feeling real good.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I know that feeling good isn't going to last, but at least it's good right now. And she's like, well, what does that mean it won't last? Like, why, if things are good, why can't they stay good? And he's like, well, that's just the way it is. It's like you taking a break, at some point you're going to have to go back to the city or back to your life and big corporate legal job with all of your fundraisers and opera tickets and all kinds of stuff like that. He goes, that's just not my world. She goes, I hate opera. He's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it just proves that they're on, like, in two different worlds. And she's like, Brady, this isn't some vacation fling. And he just kind of looks at her. She's like, I'm in love with you. It's like part of him can't believe it. He goes, yeah, right now that's true. And that's enough for me. Because I think he believes it's short term. It's, she's going to grow out of him or get tired of him. Or
because he's not used to having somebody love him.
And somebody like her. Other people maybe he's dated are more at his level. And so that would be one thing. But so it's morning. Obviously, Jack's car is still at the bar. So Preacher had to drive him back so he could get it. And Preacher's like, he gets him back there, and Jack's like, well, if I haven't said it already, thank you so much for bringing me back to get my truck and putting up with me last night. And Preacher's like, my couch is your couch. And he's like, did you talk to Mel yet? And he's like, she's not picking up her phone. He goes, so what are you going to do? He goes, go to the clinic, apologize, hope she's calmed down. And Preacher's, yeah, I know, exactly. And Preacher's like, look, I don't blame her for being mad at you. And he goes, well, neither do I. Preacher's trying to be like, import some wisdom. And he goes, hey, listen, man, I want you to know that I think of you as family, so I'm going to be straight with you. And this is what he needs. He needs this. He goes, work out your issues. Find out what's going on up here, as he's pointing to his head. And he's like, talk to Barry Martinez. He's a therapist. And Jack's like, tell me how a civilian is going to understand what I'm dealing with. And Preacher's like, look, he did 2 tours, and he got a master's degree in psychology, and he runs my veteran support group. So he does know what he's talking about. And he goes, I told you, I'm not going to sit around in a circle with a group of guys and talk about my feelings. And he's like, fine. He does one-on-ones. I've been doing them with him since Christopher disappeared because Preacher's got his own crap to deal with. I mean,
exactly.
When Paige left, when Christopher disappeared, the whole thing with, not like he's going to maybe say that he disposed of a body. He may not bring that in, but, he could talk about the other issues. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Barry guy, he goes, without Barry, I would have lost it. He goes, well, I'm really glad therapy works for you, but it's not my thing. And he goes, well, whatever you're doing isn't working. So you really should at least give it a try. I mean, it gives Jack something to think about.
Yeah, because he's screwing it up left, right, and center. And boyfriend is not doing a great job.
No, and I mean, it's something to think about. I mean, it may not be something he wants to do, but it's probably something he needs to do. So we're back at Hope and Doc's, and Hope walks into the living room while Doc's reading the newspaper, and he's like, what is that? He goes, blueberry muffins for Muriel. He goes, oh, as a thank you for last night. It's like, oh, that's so thoughtful of you. And she's like, she was a good sport last night for putting up with my backseat driving and everything else. Jack's safe, and really that's all that needs to be said. And so, like, have you seen Denny? It's like, oh, he left a note that he's running some errands. And it's like the two of them are kind of having their own. He's like, so what are you doing today? And she's like, I don't know. I can't stop thinking about Lily. You know, last night made me realize how much I depended on her in emergencies. And Muriel's not exactly a calming influence.
Well, they do butt personalities. That's the problem.
And then Doc comes up with a good suggestion. He's like, why don't you call Tara? Maybe seeing Tara would help you feel closer to Lily. So she's like, well, maybe, but maybe it'll make me miss her more. He goes, you know, but what if it makes you feel better? I mean, you won't know until you try, right?
Yeah. She'll always miss Lily.
Right.
That's her best.
Yeah, that was her best friend. So, I mean, so now we're back at the clinic. And Cameron is pouring some coffee, and Jack walks in. And he's like, hey, is Mel here? And Cameron's like, oh, she's in with a patient. And he goes, okay, I'll wait. And he's like, you want some coffee? And he's like, sure. He goes, how do you take it? Black? And he's like, yeah, thanks. So he pours Jack a cup of coffee. He hands it to him. And he's like, cheers. And he's like, yeah. So the two of them are both standing there, very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Jack's like, so do you have any idea how long she's going to be? And Cameron's like, you know, it's hard to say. She's been out of sorts this morning. So this is where he's going to twist the knife just a little bit more.
This is where he should stay out of other people's business.
I know. He should have just not said anything and left. Went back to the office or something.
He should have just said, I don't know.
Yeah, or just not said anything. I mean, seriously, just quiet. He's going to try and drive them apart in his own little way. And Jack's like, yeah, and he's like, and then Cameron has to say, he couldn't let that go. He had to say more. He's like, yeah, you know, she's tired and distracted. And Jack's just kind of looking at him like, he goes, last night was hard on her. And Jack's like, yeah, right. And he goes, I know this is none of my business. As soon as you start a sentence with, I know it's none of my business, then what the hell are you talking about?
Exactly. When you could have said nothing.
That's when you shut your mouth. It's like if it's none of your business, then it's none of your business, and you turn around and you walk away. But no, Cameron, I know this is none of my business, but it's obvious how much she loves you. Really? Duh. Like... And he goes, it is none of your business. He goes, oh, I'm just trying to help. When someone says that they're just trying to help, they're not really trying to help. They're trying to make you feel like shit is what they're trying to do. And Cameron, that's what you're trying to do. And he's like, Mel's a great woman. And he goes, look, I don't know what you're hoping to get out of this situation. He goes, you have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, oh, I'm not hoping to get anything. I'm simply observing. And he's like, do me a favor, keep your observations to yourself. And then Mel walks in. Now, if Mel would have heard the entire conversation, she probably still would have been pissed because she's so mad at Jack right now that she's not hearing the situation for what it really is. She's coming at it from a very hurt perspective and toward Jack. So she would still be mad, but someone on the outside would be like, what is Cameron trying to weasel in here? You know, but unfortunately, she didn't hear all of it, only heard the end, and she's pissed at Jack. So this doesn't go well. This is not going to be pretty. She walks in and sees the two of them, and when she walked in, Jack had his back to her, so he didn't see her walk in, and it's almost like Cameron waited. Like he saw her walk in, but he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And she's like, I need to talk to you. And she points to take him outside. And all he knows is, shit. I just put my foot in my mouth. Again, like he can't do anything right at this point.
Nope.
Like
he's literally in the doghouse. And
he knew it.
He's not getting out of that anytime soon.
And he says to Cameron, thanks for the coffee. And Cameron's like, you ass. So she's pissed, and she comes outside on the porch. She's yelling at him. He's not even out the door yet, and she's already yelling at him. She's like, what the hell was that? She goes, why are you being rude to Cameron? He goes, he got under my skin. She goes, okay, so what are you doing here? He goes, I need 5 minutes. What happened last night was unacceptable, and I'm sorry I made you worry. And she's like, okay, you know what? Worry doesn't even come close. I thought you were in a ditch. He goes, I couldn't drive. She goes, oh, right. You couldn't drive. Yeah. What happened to quitting? He goes, last night was an exception. The night of my sister's wedding was an exception. He goes, look, it's not going to happen again. It's like famous last words, right? Like how many times has someone said that or you've heard that? And
Exactly.
She goes, how am I supposed to believe you? He goes, because I made a decision. Like, and he's so firm about it. He's like, I'm done. I'm done with drinking. I'm done with living in the past. And she's looking at him like, it's words. She goes, Jack, trauma's not a switch you can turn on and off by yourself. And he goes, I know, I get it. She goes, you get it? And he's like, yeah. I mean, she is pissed. She is yelling. She's like, then why do we keep having this conversation? I mean, he looks like he wants to cry just as much as she does. And I mean, she literally throws her hands up and she's like, you know what? I can't talk to you anymore. Like, I'm done. Like, I've had it. And she just walks away, leaves him standing there. And she slams the door.
Yep.
And just as she gets back inside, her phone rings. And guess who it is?
Oh, God. The person who has the worst timing ever.
She's like, hey, Stacie. She goes, oh, I'm glad I caught you. So can we still meet for dinner? She's like, tonight isn't good. She goes, I really need to see you. She goes, I don't know. I didn't sleep all last night. She goes, can we do tomorrow? She goes, Paul and I are leaving in the morning. What if I go early? And she's like, oh, Mel's like, good Lord. The last thing she wants to do is deal with Stacie.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back at the bar. Denny comes, and he's coming to pick up Hope's lunch. And Lizzie's there at the bar working. And he's like, oh, not a fan of tuna. And he goes, oh, not when it's in my car. Because, yeah, tuna in the hot sun, not good. So Denny is chatting with Lizzie, and he's like, hey, so 10 Pins in Clear River is doing cosmic bowling tonight. Do you want to go? And Lizzie's like, I can't. Preacher's leaving early, so I have to close tonight. And he goes, okay, how about tomorrow night? He goes, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll check with Connie. And Denny's like, okay, no worries. Just let me know. And see you later. And off he goes. And Ricky's overhearing this entire conversation.
Of course he is.
And then he says to Lizzie, he goes, so why are you lying to him? He goes, why are you spying on me? He goes, I've never seen you volunteer to talk to Connie about anything. She goes, oh, you're so annoying. She's like, fine. I was looking for a phone charger, and I found a stash of Klonopin in Denny's drawer. He goes, what did you do? He goes, I told Doc. He goes, why did you do that? He goes, because it wasn't prescribed to him, and if Denny has a drug problem, Doc should know about it. And he's like, well, if it was his dad or grandma maybe and gave it to him to help him sleep. He goes, he doesn't seem like an addict. And Lizzie's starting to look like she kind of feels a little bad. She goes, yeah, you think he has a good reason? He goes, well, you might have asked him. So she's like, you're right. Thanks. He goes, for what? Being such a good friend. Just trying to give her a different perspective, not to jump to conclusions.
Yeah, but not good enough to make up with him again.
Yeah, exactly. So Preacher's there, and he's like, hey, how's it going? To Ricky. Oh, Ricky. And he's like, love sucks, Preach. And Preach looks at him, and he's like, So Jack is in his office, and he is searching on the internet. Oh, I see how they've covered up the Apple symbol. Isn't that funny? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they put a different symbol, like on... I remember this show that my kids used to watch, iCarly. They had a pear. They turned the shape into a pear, which I thought was so funny. But it's like they just put a sticker. Like they could have just done something else. They could have put a cover on it. I mean, it just looks so weird.
I know. A lot of times they just put like a symbol on it to cover up the
I know.
Apple
I hate how I notice all those stupid little things, but I do.
Yeah. No, I noticed it. Yeah.
Goodness. So Jack's on his computer and he's searching this Barry Martinez therapist guy. He's checking him out. So maybe he figures I'm handling my business and I'm not handling it very well, and I probably need to step up my game. So yep. He's looking at him, and just as somebody's come to the door, he shuts his computer, and it's Brie. And he's like, oh, God, like everybody's yelling at him today. He just can't take it anymore. He goes, okay, if you're here to read me the riot act, don't. He goes, I know perfectly well what I did. And she's like, I just came by to say if you need anything, I'm here for you. And he's like, I screwed up, Brie. And she's like, right? Well, because you're human. And he goes, why are you being so understanding? I've been pretty tough on you. And she's like, oh, I know. You gave me a free place to live. You helped me get a job. I mean, introduced me to your friends. I can't believe we're still talking. And he's like, well, you're family, and I'm always going to look out for you. And she's like, it goes both ways. Goodness. So we're back at Hope and Doc's, and Tara's there, and her and Hope are having tea. And Hope's asked Tara how Sugar is. Remember Sugar the horse? And she's like, have you been riding? And she's like, oh, a few times, but, it's hard. I keep expecting my mom's going to walk out of the barn and greet us, and that'll never happen again. And Hope's like, you've been so brave and taking care of Chloe. And she's like, oh, I should be thanking Chloe. She's the reason I get out of bed. She goes, in fact, I should relieve the sitter. She's like, wait, she's like, thanks for coming over. I didn't have it in me to FaceTime. And she's like, it's okay. It's like, it can be bittersweet. But when I'm out there, I feel like my mom's all around me. And Hope's like, I wish I had a place like that. And Tara suggests go make one, go somewhere you think, love to be, and then make it your spot. And she's like, and do what? And she's like, reflect. She goes, I'm not very good at sitting still, let alone being alone. She goes, well, it might be worth trying. It's been really, really good for me. So they give each other hugs. It's good that they have each other and that between the two of them, they can kind of keep Lily alive, in their thoughts, which is really good. So back at the clinic, Doc is trying to reach Denny, and he does not answering, so he leaves him a message, and he's like, hey, would you stop by the clinic today, because I need to talk to you, because now he's got this whole Klonopin medication thing. There's something that I want to discuss with you privately, and oh, Denny's not looking good. Denny's got some very suspicious activity happening. So as he hangs up, Mel knocks on the door, and she's like, hey. He's like, how are you? And she's like, I'm okay. He's like, you could have taken the day off. She's like, I know, but I just didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. And he goes, oh, I've been there, believe me. He goes, you and Jack have a lot going on. She's like, oh, yeah, we do. And then her phone rings, and she doesn't pick it up. She's like, I'm not making any excuses for what Jack did, but because Doc is going to impart some wisdom. And he's like, the veteran experience is uniquely complex. Now she sits down and she's going to listen to him because, remember, she doesn't have a dad. So this is the closest thing she has to a dad. And he, even though him and Hope have had a very contentious relationship for 20 years, he still has a lot of life experience. So if he wants to impart some wisdom, then she is more than willing to listen because she respects him a lot.
Yeah. So
then her phone buzzes again. She's just ignoring it. Mel's like, look, she knows that Jack is going through a lot. She's like, she just doesn't know how he'll get out of all of this and this destructive cycle if he doesn't get help. Because clearly he's not going to get out of this by himself. He thinks he can. And Doc trying to help her understand where he's coming from. And he's like, it's the fear. Now, this is confusing for Mel. She's looking at him like, what? Explain, please. Because she's like, anything that can help him. I'm here to help, but I don't know what to do. And Doc's like, the fear of reliving the pain. And that trumps reason. And he's like, maybe this will clarify things. Now, this is something where Mel always seems to have a life experience that can help someone understand their situation. Well, it's Doc's turn.
But not in this case because she's never fought.
No, but Doc has. And so he gets it. And this is where somebody's life experience can help her understand where Jack is coming from. So he starts his little story and he's like, January 31st, 1968 was one of the biggest campaigns by the North Vietnamese in the Vietnam War. He said it took him 30 years before he could say the phrase Tet Offensive out loud. And she's looking at him like she wants to cry. He goes, it was that bad. She's like, Doc, I'm so sorry. He goes, I'm not telling you this for sympathy. And her cell phone goes off again. He's like, I'm trying to explain how deep some vets bury that trauma of war in order to function every day and get through a day. She's like, it's not something I'm ever going to understand. She's like, I feel so helpless. He goes, all I'm saying is don't give up on him. You know, what you guys have, it's worth fighting for. And she's just like, ugh. And then his phone rings again. And he's like, someone is really trying to get a hold of you. And she turns the phone over when she sees it's Stacie. She's, it's Stacie, my sister-in-law. She wants to have dinner tonight. He's like, it's not like you to avoid somebody. He goes, I don't know. That's entirely true, but I'm just exhausted. And she goes, and she's difficult. And he kind of chuckles. He goes, well, I know it's your nature to put others' needs above your own, but give yourself a break on this one. Just do what's best for you. She's like, oh, okay. Goodness. And Stacie's relentless. Goodness.
Yes, she is.
So we are at the lumber yard, and Brady is heading into the office, a man with a plan. And, oh, well, look at that. Look who's sitting at the table. This older woman. She's like, hello, Daniel. And he's looking at her like, he's like, it's Brady. Do I know you? She's like, oh, we have not been formally introduced. She's in there with her smart blazer. And he's like, she's like, I'm Melissa. And he's like, and? She's like, this is my operation. Well, it's a family business, but I run the day-to-day. And how do I know that you are who you are and not a cop? Because Calvin promised you the keys to the kingdom when he retired. He's like, is that right? It's like, well, I also know your collaboration with law enforcement precipitated the raid. So she's like, cut the crap, Brady. He says, if there's one thing I cannot stomach, it's a liar. Just ask Calvin. And he's looking at her. He's like, that's why he's been demoted. He's like, so why are you still dealing with me? And she's looking at him like, because you have collateral, which I believe will keep you in line. He goes, you're talking about the business? He goes, oh, I'm talking about your girlfriend, Brie. And now he's getting pissed. He goes, now, when the shipment arrives, like I told Calvin, he goes, I don't deal with the drugs. And she kind of gets all smart with him. She's like, well, our night business might spill into your day business. So I'm going to need you to cooperate. And he's like, fine, but just so you know, if anything happens to Brie, I'll burn this place down. And she's like, oh, passionate. I like that. I'll be in touch. So basically, she's threatening him.
Mm-hmm.
God, he's just pissed. He's like, great, now I got to deal with this.
Well, the problem is he thought he got rid of one bully, and now he's got to deal with another one. So
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's like everybody holds, I mean, he just gets in these situations that he cannot get himself out of.
Yeah, I always say, when you dance with the devil, it's hard to see the heaven.
Goodness. So now we are at Jack's bar, and Brie, who is still on the case, Detective Brie, she's sitting with Mike, and they're having some coffee, and she's sort of updating him. She's like, I went to the clerk's office to check for small water sources. He goes, but when I pulled up the topography map, I found inconsistencies. On a current map, you won't find anything near Shelter Mountain, but in an older map, it shows a reservoir just east of Lower Bridge. And he's like, well, where's the map? She's like, it's in my car. And Mike's like, okay, because remember, they're looking for the boat that Calvin is supposed to be on because Calvin disappeared. And there's really not that many. I mean, there's a river, but you wouldn't find a boat on the river. It would have to be in a bigger body of water. So they figure if they can find a body of water, maybe there's a boat, maybe they'll find Calvin. So they're doing everything they can to figure this out. So Mike is like, okay, I'll go check out the reservoir. And just at the same time, the phone rings. It's Brady, didn't take the call. So Brie's like, we'll go. Yeah, we'll go together. And she's smiling like, she goes, I found the map. I'm going with you. And he goes, no, Brie, it's not safe. What if Calvin's armed? And she's like, I've gotten this far. I'm not going to just walk away now. And he's like, okay, fine, but I'm calling for backup. And if anything goes down, you follow my orders. And she's like, for example, if I say run, you run. She's like, okay. So now we're back at the clinic. And Doc is knee-deep in paperwork, and Denny arrives. Now, this is going to be a tough conversation.
You said it.
So he's kind of very hesitant to come in. He's sort of hanging in the doorway, and Doc's like, come on in and sit down. Yeah, you know, it's like when you have to go to the principal's office. Exactly what it looks like, right?
And unfortunately, I've been in that position.
Yeah. Troublemaker. So Denny's like, sorry, you know, it took me so long to get here. You know, I was hiking. He's like, nope, it's fine. It's okay. And he goes, so you wanted to see me? And he's like, yes. And he's like, there's no easy way to say this, so I'm just going to be direct. He's like, it's come to my attention you have a bottle of Klonopin, and it's not in your name. In addition, I suspect you went through the clinic's financial papers, which are highly confidential. And after the incident with the drug cabinet, I got to think to myself, there's something seriously wrong here. And Denny's like, I did go through the clinic's financials without permission. He goes, why? Why would you do that? And he's like, he almost looks stern, but I don't know. Kind of like, I'm in trouble, but it's not for what you think. You know, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
He doesn't look guilty. Like, he never looks guilty.
Yeah. There's a reason behind what he's doing, basically. Is what
absolutely. Yeah. So he's like, my dad passed away, and he goes, I got a big insurance payout. He goes, it's not a lot of money, but I wanted to use it for something good. Something that'll help people and live on in his memory. And he goes, I'm not following you here. And he goes, I used the funds to pay off the clinic's mortgage. He goes, I thought it would be cool if you received a zero balance mortgage statement. And Doc is just like, wow. Like, I don't even know what to say except thank you. He goes, that's extremely generous. And he goes, you and your practice help so many people, and that's what my dad would have wanted. He goes, well, I'm glad you think so. And he goes, but I still got to ask about the prescription. And he goes, well, if I tell you, you're going to look at me differently, and I don't know if I can stand that. He goes, I've trusted you so far. It's time you gave me the benefit of the doubt. And he's kind of like reluctant, and he goes, okay, and you promise you won't tell anyone, even if you think you're trying to help? And Doc's like, oh, man. He thinks about it, and he's like, I give you my word. Hope has decided that lovely bench that she built, remember? Her and Muriel built that lovely bench. Well, she went to where it was, and now it's painted, and there's pillows there, and it's decorated, and she's like, if you think there's a table, there's a mat there. I mean, it's beautiful. It's like a little spot, you know? Mm-hmm. And she's like, Muriel, if you're trying to get me to like you, you're winning. Muriel's not there. It's like she's talking to the air. And it's this beautiful song in the background, and Hope's just sitting there thinking of Lily. And she's just getting sad. And then Lily is sitting next to her. It's like she's conjured her up in some way. It's like she really, really just needed to talk to her. And Lily's sitting there with her in her thoughts. And she's like, oh, the bench is beautiful. And Hope's looking at her. She goes, what's going on? She goes, you're struggling. She's like, you're not real. And she goes, well, that's up to you. None of this has been up to me. She goes, if it were, you'd be alive. And I wouldn't have been in that stupid accident, as she cries. And she goes, I wouldn't be sitting here missing you so much. My brain is playing tricks on me. And Lily's like, it's 'cause you're hurting. And Hope's like, I never even got to say goodbye. She's like, I miss you so much. And Lily's like, just smiling at her. And she goes, my heart hurts. And now that you're gone, she goes, there's a huge hole in my life. She goes, how can I ever fill it? And Lily's like, look to those who love you most. And it's a beautiful song in the background. And then Hope looks away and looks back, and Lily's gone. It's like, in a way, yeah. In a way, she kind of got to say goodbye for just a minute, you know? Yeah. Because she even said, if I could just talk to her one more time. Well, in her own way, she got to do that. Yeah. Which, in a way, I think she needed that. She needed that, in a way, a little bit of closure. Yeah. Maybe not all the closure she wanted, but something.
Yeah. Because a lot of us don't get that opportunity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, in a way, it's good that she has a little bit of a brain problem, because it helped her maybe see Lily. So Mel decided to go ahead and see Stacie. Ugh. I mean, it's kind of like if I don't see her, she's just gonna keep bugging the shit out of me, right? God.
And our response was exactly the same.
Right? It's like, oh my God, she's relentless. If I don't say something, she's never going to leave me alone.
Oh, she's like a bad egg. She's
right?
Up. Oh, God.
So Mel has to drive all the way to Grace Valley, and Stacie's there, and she's like, Stacie? And she's like, Mel. She goes, I wasn't sure if you'd actually come. She goes, well, I'm here for Mark. If you needed something, he would have shown up. And Stacie's like almost surprised, like, oh, yeah. Like, you're not here for me, clearly, because you don't like me. But whatever got you here, that's good enough. So
I'm trying to find the word that Stacie is. She's people who are into themselves. What's the word I'm trying to look
selfish,
for?
Arrogant,
no,
self-centered.
That too.
Egotistical.
That too, but
slightly narcissistic.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. Not as narcissistic as the mother-in-law, but, you know, the apple didn't fall. At least Stacie does have some redeeming qualities. Not everybody in the family does.
Exactly.
So Stacie's like, Mel, I know that I have been terrible to you. She's like, yeah, that reminds me. I got your sonogram. She goes, oh, I am so sorry. I should have never sent that. It was insensitive. And Mel's like, yeah. She goes, I also apologize for asking for your wedding ring. It was totally inappropriate. And she's like, oh, like shocked she's saying that. She goes, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Has
somebody grown a conscience?
Yeah. She's like, thank you for apologizing. She's like, I really mean it. She's like, I believe you. She goes, well, we're really excited. She's like, just having a hard time with knowing, you know, that my daughter is never going to meet her Uncle Mark. And Mel's like, I'm sure it's hard not being able to share this with him. And she's like, yeah, it is. She goes, Mel, Mark loved you so much. She's like, and you knew him better than anybody. So I was thinking, if we worked together, we could help keep Mark's memory alive for my daughter. And Mel actually is okay with that. She goes, yeah, that would be nice. She goes, I'm glad that you called. She goes, actually, nobody knows this yet, but we're going to name her Monroe for Mark. She's like, oh, Stacie. Mark would have been thrilled. That's very sweet. So now we're back at the bar. Jack is basically throwing himself into work at this point because Mel's not talking to him, and I think people might be very disappointed and upset with him. So he's going to just keep his head down and just work. And guess who walks in to visit?
And the next person who irritates me to
well, you know, get them all out of the way at once, right?
She just, I swear to God, I see her and I just cringe.
I know.
I'm sorry. I know she's moved on, but she's still, in my eyes, she's still a pain in the you-know-where.
Oh, no, she totally 100% is. So she walks by and she sees Ricky. She puts her hand on his shoulder and she sees Jack and she's like, oh, are you mad at me?
You know, that the minute you ask that question, you already know the answer to that question. It's just like when he asked that question, I know it's none of my business, but Cameron asked that question.
Right?
I know it's none of my business. He already,
You already know. You're So Charmaine's like, well, my aunt from Portland is throwing a baby shower for Todd and I.
How is that?
She's like, and we sent out invitations last week, and I haven't gotten a response from you and Mel. And he's like, well, we didn't get an invitation. She goes, well, I'm positive I sent it. He goes, well, it didn't arrive. Because that's why she walked in and asked if he was mad at her. I mean, everybody else is mad, so whatever. I guess we're throwing the mad around. And she's like, okay, well, all the information is here. He goes, the club had a cancellation, so we're having it there instead of the B&B, and there's going to be a chocolate fountain. It's a little invitation that says baby shower. He goes, and Todd's buying a case of Dom for the toast, because, Todd has to throw around his wealth because he's highly how did she put it? Highly regarded lawyer or something. Personal injury lawyer. That's it. Highly regarded personal injury lawyer. Like she sounds like a commercial. It's ridiculous.
And in my opinion, he's a highly confidential moron.
Yes.
That's what.
Yep.
That's what he.
And Jack's like, sounds fancy. She's like, you're going to be there, right? Like, it's a baby shower. He's the father. Duh. And he's like, yeah, why wouldn't I be? She goes, well, you were so pissed at me for not telling you the twins were boys. She goes, and one of the things I respect most about you is that you're honest. She goes, even when it's something I don't want to hear. He goes, oh, there are plenty of those. She goes, yeah, well, I learned that I can depend on you. And that's really all I want for the twins is parents they can trust. Because I never really had that. He's like, I know. He said, thank you. He's like, you know what, Shar? Our boys are going to have 2 parents that love and care for them unconditionally. He goes, that's better than either of us had. He goes, you should feel good about that. She's like, I do. He goes, but there's one thing that's kind of been bugging me. He goes, what's that? He goes, why didn't you tell me that you and Mel got married? He's like, what? And she's like, I saw Mel at the store buying a wedding dress. And he's like, no, her sister got married. She's like, oh, well, then I guess she was telling the truth. And he's like, well, why wouldn't she? I mean,
and this is the thing. She always assumes that they're lying to her.
Well, she lies too. So why would, I mean, if you lie all the time, you have to expect everyone's going to lie to you. So that's her own fault for being that way. And he's like, well, why would Mel lie to you? And she's like, I don't know, to protect my feelings. He's like, Charmaine, we just said I've been straight with you. She's like, yeah, all right. And so has Mel. So going forward, you never have to worry about being lied to. And then Ricky comes over and he's like, hey, Jack, there's a Barry Martinez here to see you. So Jack looks like he called the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Well, let's see calling him and actually doing it. We'll see how
well the guy is physically there. That's definitely a step in the right direction. And then Jack's like to Charmaine, I got to go. We'll talk at the shower. He walks over to Barry, who's making himself a cup of coffee, and he goes, hey, Jack Sheridan, thanks for coming. And he's like, Barry, glad you called. And he asks him if he wants to sit down across from him in the booth, and Jack's like, why don't we speak in my office? So they sit down. Jack's at his desk in his chair, and Barry's sitting on the couch across from him. Oh, and Jack is looking mighty uncomfortable. He goes, so, Preacher said that you were in the Corps. And Barry's like, yep, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marine. And he's like, oh, the Thundering 3rd. He goes, you guys were some of the first Marines to get in there. And he's like, oh, yeah, so you were there for Phantom Fury. Oh, yeah. He goes, yep, it was as bad as advertised. And Jack's like, so how did you get into this? And he said, well, over 30 Marines from my battalion have committed suicide since 2003. And Jack's like, wow. And he's like, and that's more than we lost in the entire operation. He goes, so I figured if I can help just one soldier, it would honor the ones who didn't make it home. And Jack's like, wow, that's pretty noble. He goes, not really. He goes, it's what helped me recover. And he looks at him and he goes, what can I do for you? And Jack's like, well, he goes, I don't know. Probably nothing. I mean, I just things haven't been really going so well. And he's like, have you tried therapy in the past? He goes, no, I kind of just try to rely on myself to solve my problems. And Barry's like, right. And he goes, best thing to do is take whatever's broken, take it apart, and you put it back together piece by piece. That way you can be sure you found the source of the problem. And Jack's like, okay. And he goes, and how long does that take? And Barry kind of chuckles. And he's like, well, if it's done correctly, there's no timeline.
Again, Jack thinks things can be done instantly.
Well, he wants a quick fix because he doesn't want the problems anymore. He just wants to be normal. He wants to be back to normal, which he probably hasn't been that way in a very long time.
Exactly.
So Preacher has knocked on the door of Julia, the Aikido instructor. He's like, hey, up for a visitor? And he's got himself a bottle of wine. She's like, come in. And it's just weird that in real life, that's his real wife.
Mm-hmm.
that they're doing this little thing. It's just it's a little bizarre. It's a little bizarre. He's like, "Would you like to sit down?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." It's just a cute little place. So they sit down on the couch together. He's like, "So, like, I didn't know if I should call." He's like, "I want to apologize. I know it seemed like I've been sending you mixed messages because it's never my intent." She's like, "Okay." He's like, "It's just that when you started asking me about Christopher and Paige, and I didn't know how to answer them." He says, "It's not my story to tell." She's like, "Okay, well, it's very cryptic, don't you think?" And he's like, "Bottom line is that Paige and I, we're not together." She goes, "Thank you for clarifying that." He goes, "Still, I'm not a clean slate. Now, if you don't want to deal with me, I get it. I've got baggage."
Don't we all?
Yeah. And she's like, "We all do." Truth is, neither of us are fortune tellers. He's like, "Instead, all I can do is be honest as possible." She's like, "Well, if you were laying out our cards on the table, I have feelings for you. And I think you have feelings for me too." He's like, "I do." And they're big smiles. Like, your smile, it knocks me out every single time. Oh, and then she kind of lean in. And she's like, "So for right now, that's all I need to know." She gets so close that they're kissing. Kiss your wife on TV. That's just, oh my. So we're back at the restaurant with Stacie and Mel. And Stacey's like, "Thanks again for seeing me and just for being so awesome about everything." So it seems like Stacie has grown up, she has matured, she has let go of her baggage, whatever was going on with her that was causing her animosity toward Mel. It looks like that they have worked it out.
Well, partly she's becoming a parent.
And you know what? That will focus your nonsense in a different direction.
That's right.
It really puts priorities in place.
Yeah. It's not about me, myself, and I. It's
exactly.
about somebody else.
And you hope that everyone with a child learns that, but not everyone does, unfortunately.
Nope. We know that for sure.
Yep. And so Mel is like, "Oh my gosh, of course, and I can't wait to meet Monroe," which is what Stacey's going to name the baby after her brother. And she goes, "And if you ever need a break, just let me know and I'll fly down," which is a very generous offer. And Stacey's like, "Oh, I will take you up on that." And so they go to pay the check, and Stacey's like, "No, it's my treat." And they're like, "No, no." And they're kind of fighting over it. And Mel's like, "No, we are celebrating you becoming a mother." So Mel decides to pay the check. And then Stacie, all of a sudden, she gets very, it's almost like there's something she wanted to say, something else, and she wasn't going to say it. And then at the last minute, it's like she can't hold it in. And she kind of rushes on Mel. And she's like, "There's something I wanted to tell you, but it's not really my place." And she looks very uptight, like very nervous, very stressed. And Mel's like, kind of look like the face like, "Okay, what?" And she's like, "Okay, Mom hired a lawyer to seek custody of your last 2 embryos." And Mel's like, "What?" She goes, "Mark told her that you guys had 2 embryos left, and she got it in her head that she could hire a surrogate and raise Mark's kid." And Mel is literally standing there with her mouth open and her eyes as bug-eyed as you can get to. And she's like, "I'm sorry. That's insane." Because it is. It's ridiculous.
And a narcissist. Ugh.
And Mel's like, "I don't even know what to say." And Stacey's like, "I know. I totally agree with you. I am so sorry." She's like, "I didn't want you to be blindsided." And Mel's just standing there with her mouth open like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this woman." And we are back at Julia's place. And clearly a kiss is not just a kiss, because Preacher and Julia have worked their way back to the sheets.
I like to see the horizontal mamba.
Yes, they're between the sheets. And they're like, "Oh, I've got to admit, this isn't exactly how I imagined this day ending."
Oh, yes. Oh, boy.
I don't think she did either. But it is what it is. The 2 of them.
Okay.
And I mean, he doesn't really date people. I mean,
nope.
Goodness. So the phone's ringing. It's Preacher's, and he goes, "Let me turn that thing off." And he looks at it, and it's an unknown number. He goes, "Oh, can you give me just 2 minutes?" She goes, "I'm not going anywhere." He gives her a kiss, and he gets up to answer it. And he answers it and he's like, hello? And it's Christopher. He's like, preach. And he's like, Christopher? And Christopher is at a motel. Vince, the brother-in-law, or his uncle, I guess, is asleep on the bed furthest away from him. And he's on the floor, hiding with the phone, talking to Preach very quietly.
Oh, this poor child.
I know. He's like, Uncle Vince is asleep. And he's like, are you okay? And he goes, where are you? And he goes, I don't know. He said, Christopher, it's important. Do you recognize anything about where you are right now? He goes, no, but we've been driving a lot, and he makes me hide in the back seat. And he goes, whose phone are you using? He goes, Uncle Vince's. He goes, he let you have it? He goes, no, he hides it, but he fell asleep and left it out. And he goes, it's very brave of you. He goes, I remembered your number from summer camp. He's like, good for you. He's like, preach. I want to come home. And he goes, I know, buddy. We're going to get you home. He goes, are you sure there isn't anything that you can tell me about where you are? Are you near the ocean? And then he hears the uncle moving. He goes, he's awake. I got to go. And he hangs up. And unfortunately, that just sucks Preacher right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, so tragic. Yeah. Just when he's in the process of trying to move on, and he just gets pulled back. And I mean, at this point, he didn't really have a relationship with Paige. It could have become something, but it never really did. Yeah. And because he cared for Christopher for who knows how long, he got much, much closer to Christopher. So, I mean, that's been his focus, to sending out like private eyes looking for him and doing everything he can.
Yeah.
Crazy. So Mel is done talking to Stacie, and she comes home, and she opens the door, and Jack is sitting there waiting for her. She does not look very happy. She kind of doesn't even look at him.
He is still pissed at him because he thinks
you know what? He's relentless, and he's going to do whatever he has to do.
I get that, but
she is not ready for it.
No, I think he should have called before he walked into that woman's house.
That's not Jack. Jack is a in-your-face kind of guy. He's going to, just like, how many times was he like, I'll drive you, I'll pick you up, I'll take you, I'll stand here with you, I'll sit here with you. Like, he is always in her face. When they first started this whole thing, he is not the, I'm going to call you and wait by the phone kind of guy. No. That is not him.
I get that, but he also knows that Mel is pissed at him.
I know, but he'll wear her down.
I guess so.
He knows that she loves him, and he just has to
I get that.
Try.
But, I would have opened that door, saw him there, and said, you need to leave now.
I know.
You need to leave. I was not closing that door until his butt was out of my couch and out the door.
Yeah, but I think Mel's the type of person, if he says, can I have 5 minutes? And if you don't like what I have to say, like he said, I don't know, a couple of times before, just hear me out. And if you don't like what I have to say, I will leave. I'll leave you alone. He said that many, many times. And so he knows that she'll always give him the chance and hear him out. Because that's, in her mind, it's like, okay, I'm willing to listen. It doesn't mean I have to like it, and I may send you away, but I'm at least willing to listen. I know.
I love Jack, but
she's a saint. She's a saint for putting up with his crap. Yeah, this was not good.
What he put her through, I'm thinking we needed to wait we need an episode or two for me to forgive him still.
Nope. Not in this world.
That's true.
So she just walks over, she puts her purse down, and she's like, I'm going to take a shower. Like, she doesn't even want to, like, that's her way. And it's a one-room cabin. The only place she has to hide is the bathroom. And that's exactly where she's going. I'm going to go take a shower. And she takes her jacket off, and he's like, all right, can we please just talk first? She's like, we already talked. And he's like, so you'd rather stay mad? And she's like, no, but there is nothing you could say that's going to make me feel better about what happened last night. He goes, I know. And that's why today I met with Preach's therapist. And she's like, you saw a therapist? He's like, yeah. Barry, he's a Marine. And she's looking at him like, I can't even, like, literally, if he would have said anything else, she wouldn't have bought it. But that's something that he said he would never do. And the fact that he did that, that's big. That's huge. She's like, okay. And she crosses her arms in front of her. She's like, okay, I'm I'm going to listen. I'm going to let you tell me about this little situation. She's still pissed, but that's okay. She's like, so why did you decide to call him? He's like, because I agree with you. And she's like, looking at him strange. Like, I need help, and I can't just keep telling you that I'm going to get my act together. And she's like, okay. She goes, how was it? He goes, it was awkward as hell. And he literally is tearing up. He's like, I agreed to do a few sessions with him. She goes, Jack, she's like, if you're doing this for me, he's like, no. He goes, I mean, well, you're a part of the reason, but I'm tired of pretending that everything is okay. And she's like, you taking this step means a lot. And he says, I meant it when I said everything's going to get better, okay? And she's like in tears. He's like, I really meant it. And she's like, okay. And she's like, I was scared. I thought something happened to you. I mean, she's practically, and then he grabs her face and he's like, I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I love you. And she kisses him. She lets him. She lets him kiss her.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry. She's like, I can't lose you, okay? And he goes, you're not going to. And he hugs her and he's like, oh, thank God. Like the deep breath. He goes, everything's going to be okay, I promise. You can tell the look on his face is like, okay, I got her. I got her back. Because 2 minutes ago, she was going in the shower and he was leaving. But literally, that was probably the only thing he could have done that would have broken through. And he's just like, whew. She's like, listen, I have to tell you, I went and had dinner with Stacie. And he's like, how did that go? She told me that Mark's mom, Cassandra, wants custody of my embryos. He goes, oh, come on, is that even a thing? He goes, no, but I mean, anybody can file a lawsuit. It's just weird how 5 minutes ago they weren't talking. 2 minutes ago and now they're like back to normal, like, let's have this conversation. I mean, granted, this is a big deal. This situation that she's dealing, and I mean, no one knows except for Doc that she's even pregnant, and nobody knows that how she got pregnant, which we still don't even know, but the situation around it. It's like she has no one to talk about this with except Jack. There is no one else. The doctor maybe, but she's not going to have this conversation with the doctor. So this is a very, very strange conversation to have. And he's like, well, she goes, but she doesn't know I'm pregnant. Because he's like, what? Does she know? Like, oh, oh no. And she's like, no, she doesn't know. And he goes, so if she finds out, is she going to want custody? And Mel's like, I don't know. She goes, if it turns out to be Mark's baby. And he's like, do you think she'd go through with something like that?
Oh,
and she's like, I don't know. But when Cassandra wants something, she will do anything she can to get it. So Mel is looking scared. Like, this woman could file for custody of her baby if it's,
Yeah, because we in America we have grandparents' rights, don't we?
I know, we do.
So there's that.
That conversation with that woman, not pretty. Not pretty. So remember how Mike and Brie, I should say, Brie badgered Mike into taking her with him to go check out the reservoir where maybe Calvin is hiding in a boat that they think he's on? Well, they're sneaking around.
In the dark.
And once they verify, they'll call for backup because, you don't want to bring a bunch of people out there for nothing. And so Mike, they see the boat and he pulls her back because they don't want to get seen yet. And he's like, oh, we got to call for backup. And she goes, well, where are they? He goes, I gave out the coordinates. Relax. And they're just kind of sneaking. And then he said they should be here in a minute. And he's got the binoculars and he sees that it's the correct boat. He goes, I don't see anyone. And she goes, hey, look. And she sees movement. There's a light on and there's movement. He goes, is that Calvin? And he looks up. Mike sees him through the binoculars. And he gets on his phone. And he's like, Howard, where the hell's backup? I got eyes on Calvin. And he's like, we're closing in now. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. And they're just standing there watching. And it looks like Calvin's pulling up the buoys that are holding the boat. And he sees a flash in the distance. And he stands up and he looks. And he goes, crap, he knows we're here. And just then, Calvin jumps over to the other side, goes over to the other side of the boat, and the boat blows up. And it basically throws Mike and Brie backwards. And then
here we have
a cliffhanger. And that's it. And that is where we end. So Calvin. I mean, Calvin.
It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Yeah. I mean, he was supposedly hiding. He didn't do a very good job. I mean, he should have stayed out of the area, don't you think?
Well, the point was the cops wouldn't have found him. It's only because Brie went onto an old map that she found where that part of the river was.
Right. I mean, she knew he had a boat or something, and that's
Correct.
so then where is he going to put a boat?
Right, but the point was the police weren't even aware
No.
of that part of the river. So that's the thing. So, they wouldn't have been able to find him. It's because of Bree's investigation.
She's like a junior detective. So, oh my. So we've got a lot of cliffhangers on this one. We've got the boat blew up and what happened to Calvin? We've got Mel's mother-in-law, Cassandra, now wants custody of her embryos. And once she finds out she's pregnant, and if she has a baby and the baby is Mark, she's going to want custody or partial or some visitation, or she's going to want something. She is not going to back down on that one.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. And now we've got something's going on with Denny, still. I mean, clearly something's still up with him. He's still hiding something. There's just too many things, I mean, I think it was very sweet of him to pay off Doc's mortgage for the clinic. That was very generous of him. But he's still hiding something. There's still something going on there.
And then we have Preacher and Christopher.
Oh, Preacher and Christopher. And him trying to have a relationship with Julia, wow. There's a lot going on there.
That's going to be tricky.
Yeah. So tune in next time and see what happens.
Au revoir, folks.
All right.
Sticking around.
Thank you. And I'll see you next time. Talk to you next time, Gigi.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.